In this problem, our goal was to try to understand for a check into cash company, if you take out $100 to pay bills and you pay a $15 fee to have that over a 14-day period, what is the annual percentage rate? We know that the interest is compounded daily, so we have that aspect. A person typically repays at the end of the repay period. So we're assuming this person isn't making any other additional payments to the account. Okay, so first of all, we know that little n is 365. So 365 times a year, they're going to charge you interest. We don't know what the APR is. We know that the present value is going to be positive $100. Now this is an inflow because initially you're receiving $100. Even though you're borrowing it and you're going to have to pay it back, you receive $100. In the future, you are going to have to pay out $115. So that's going to be an outflow because you have to pay back the $15 and the $100 after the 14-day period. Okay, so coming into our TVM solver, capital N, we recall, is the number of times you pay interest per year times how many years you actually you invest for, you have the loan for. Well, in this scenario, we're keeping it for 14 365ths of the year, so 14 out of the 365 days. So you'll notice, really, this just tells us the total number of times the company is going to pay us charge us interest. We don't know what the APR is, so we're going to leave that alone. The present value is $100. We have no payment. Negative $115 is what the one-time payment will make when the loan is up, and the PYCY should both be 365 for daily compounding. So we come back up here and we calculate our APR, and we find out that the APR is 366%. Well, why is the APR so high? I mean, if you look at the interest out of the $100, it actually only looks like a 15% fee. Well, we're trying to look at this at an annual basis. So if you are being charged $15 in a 14-day period, that translates to an annual rate of $366. So really, the assumption is that if over the first 14-day period you pay $15, then over the next 14-day period you're going to pay a little bit more than $15. So the built-in assumption here is that if you were to keep the loan all year. In a similar sense, we may want to ask, what does the company earn in APY? Well, we can easily answer that here as well. So if in fact they were to give you this loan for a full year, compounded daily, then at a APR of 366%, at the end of the year, if you were to keep this loan for the full year at the same going rate of a 15% fee, at the end of the year you'd have a balance of $3,823. So that's taking it over all these 14-day windows. I mean, how many 14-day windows are there in a full year? There are quite a few of them. So if we now say, all right, well, our future value amount owed would be negative $38.23 and 66 cents, and our present value that we borrowed was $100, and we take the ratio of those two things. So the company's APY would be what they have at the end of the period, the full year, divided by the present value minus 1. We would get, let's see here, we would get 37.2366. Now remember, this is the decimal version that comes out of this because we divided and we subtracted. So this is a decimal. To convert it to a percentage, I need to move my decimal place over, and the company's actual yield would be 3,723.66% yield on this investment. So that is a wild amount of actual annual yield. And yes, don't be surprised, 366.2% is the APR, but with interest it's higher.